guys, welcome back to another Q&A. It is January 28th, 2019. Did a topic-based Q&A this week. It was digestion related. Haven't done a topic Q&A in a couple weeks, so I figured I would do one. And there's a lot of questions on here, so let's see. Jump right over on Facebook and start. All right, effects, if any, of artificial sweeteners on gut flora. Okay, so I should probably say that all sweeteners can potentially impact gut flora. Not all sweeteners. I guess sweetener could be things like, things like syrups and natural stuff like that. But I mean, sugar can impact gut flora. That's a sweetener. Even stevia can impact gut flora some, and artificial sweeteners can as well. Now, the biggest thing is it really something that we should be concerned about? Is it enough that we could really quantify it and it's going to impact us? Maybe, maybe not. Depending on how much you're taking in, how you react to them in the first place. Gut flora or gut microbiome is changing all the time. It's processing a lot of bacteria, good and bad. It's combating pathogens and things like that. So I mean, it's constantly working and changing at least slightly. And there's so many different, bacteria within there, trillions. So it's going to alter it some. Whether it affects you or not is kind of person dependent. You're going to notice if it affects you or not. I mean, most people that, if they're just gluttonously taking in artificial sweeteners like crazy, then yeah, they might have an impact, and some others won't, and they can get away with a good amount. And some people can't even take in very much at all, and they'll have upset stomachs. So you just gotta kind of see what it does to you personally. All right, tips to keeping the nervous system calm or balanced as you eat to ensure proper digestion. Okay, so some common culprits here: people just multitasking, walking around when they eat, not sitting down, being overly anxious around meal times, just stuff we kind of forget about it because we're moving around, we're busy, all this stuff's going on, we just need to get our meal in. And we don't always have the luxury of sitting down and necessarily just, setting the mood for a meal. So little things like soft belly breathing is one I suggest a lot. Just inhale, exhale. So it's basically just a big belly breath. Several of those can help with vagus nerve activation, can help parasympathetic nervous system activation, calm you down, help with digestion. It's a really simple way to do it. Just being conscious of your mood and your anxiety and things like that before you eat. Most people just aren't. They just grab the food because it's time to eat, and they don't think about it. So those things can definitely help. Okay. Other than constipation, what are some reasons or some issues that lead to worsened motility, transit time, poor evacuation? Okay, so motility as in moving through the gut. Now, a lot of the time, any digestive issue that's going to cause you to get backed up could, impact motility, but there actually, most of the larger impacts are from disorders that impact motility. They impact smooth muscles in the gut, impact contractility and things like that. So, I mean, there are actual disorders that will cause worsened motility. And I've worked with a handful of people that have had these disorders, and there are things you can do to increase motility at that time. But a normal person without those disorders, it's more so just fixing whatever digestive issue is present, and it's typically not, the motility piece is typically not a big issue at that point. Unless you're like hammering tons of food, increasing motility can be useful, but for most people it's not an issue. All right, so Stan Efferding's 10-minute walk protocol, the idea of a brisk walk postprandial, increasing insulin sensitivity and digestion. Any literature behind it? I don't know if there's any literature about it increasing digestion, but can the brisk walk potentially increase insulin sensitivity and partitioning? Probably. It can, yeah, I would say yes. And you could find some literature on that. I don't know if you're going to see a study that says walk 10 minutes after a meal and it's going to lower blood sugar or do whatever. I don't know if you'll find it that directly, but yeah, it's definitely going to help in that regard. I would say that for most people, it seems to help with digestion as well. Just depends. You don't want to be too vigorously exercising right after, just because of the whole parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system balance. So you want to be careful with doing anything too aggressive to disrupt the digestive process from a nervous system standpoint. So yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, a lot of people don't have the luxury to just walk after every meal, but some people do, and it's not a bad idea. So, all right, next question. Would it be more beneficial to take subs like Betaine HCL and pepsin, or just digestive enzymes for a person who is in off-season on high carb, high protein diet? Or what subs would you recommend? Okay, so first off, I think it's important to understand what the supplements actually do rather than just throwing them in. The betaine especially is probably going to be more useful in this regard because it does tend to help with protein digestion quite a bit. It's going to improve pH environment of the stomach to digest more food or larger quantities of food or just food more efficiently. So it does tend to help. It's something I like to use. I use it with myself and a lot of others. Typically comes in about 650 milligram capsules with pepsin and sometimes digestive bitters. And dosing can be anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, caps per meal. It can go up and down quite a bit, just as needed. Normally, try 1, see how it works. Go up 2, 3. They go pretty high in the literature and studies and stuff that they use it in, so you can dose it high if need be. Digestive enzymes, I mean, I don't have a lot of people that use them. I have some people that use them. They do well with them. Some others, they just don't need them. I mean, in reality, our body produces enough enzymes. For most people, it produces enough enzymes, so I don't worry about it much. There are situations where I would use them. I probably wouldn't worry about it here. Now, if you want to try it and see if it helps and you know that there's a noticeable difference, then I would keep it in. If not, then I wouldn't worry about it. And other supplementation, I mean, it's just totally boils down to person's personal digestive profile, like what they need. There's not a lot of fat in the diet, so we probably don't have to worry about things like increasing liver bile to, digest more fats. Probably don't have to worry about that much if there's not a lot of fats. I mean, again, though, the rest of it's is there any kind of digestive ailment issues that need addressed? It would just totally be dependent on that, so it's hard to suggest anything further, but the betaine is probably going to be pretty useful in this regard. All right, one more on Facebook here. Do you use ACV and lemon juice drink prior to your first meal with clients? Yeah, sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes I do. It was just kind of depends on the person. I do a little digestive shake with some people. I do use the Morphogen Nutrigen with some people as well that has it in it already. So again, just really depends. It's not going to be universal across the board. So, all right. Okay, thoughts on DGL or charcoal digestive aids with heavier volume meals? All right, so DGL is a licorice extract or type of licorice, essentially. It's DGL has a lot of healing properties, possibly like some antimicrobial properties. It's probably not something that I need to use with people all the time. It's people that have like GERD, like really bad GERD, or have like I feel they probably have damage to their GI tract from chronic GI issues, have bacterial imbalances like SIBO, so stuff like that. DGL is helpful. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it just with high volume meals, like as a direct digestive aid in that way. Probably not. Can't think of a time that I really did. So now charcoal, same thing. Probably not as a direct digestive aid with the meals. It is, I like to think of charcoal as kind of an absorption catalyst. It's going to absorb a lot of the bad stuff. It absorbs gases, toxins, things like that, impurities. So I mean, it definitely has its place in a digestive, fix your digestion protocol type of thing, depending on the issue. But as just a regular every meal digestive aid or higher volume meals, no, not necessarily. Now, I did mention the betaine earlier. That's something that's helpful in those meals a lot, just because of enhancing the pH environment. So that can be something you would use, but probably not these two. Now, also depends on like composition of the meal. Is it a higher fat meal, higher carb meal? Higher fat meals, you might want to increase liver bile to digest the fats better. So like ox bile or D-limonene are helpful. So yes. Next question. Is there a way to determine what strands of probiotics would be best? Is there a certain amount that you would reach to make it worthwhile? I've heard anything less than $1 billion is a waste of money. Do they even help? It's a good question. So I talked about gut flora a little bit, how it's constantly changing. Gut flora is so super complex that we don't really know everything about it yet. They're starting to get an idea of what strands might offer what, certain benefits, but it's not fully understood at this point, and I don't know how it could ever be fully understood, considering there's trillions of bacterial strands. So I mean, I don't know that you could account for everything. There may not be trillions of strands, but there are trillions of bacteria. So some strands are going to have multiple. But again, I mean, there's just so many to encompass that it's going to be hard to really get the full scope of the whole gut microbiome equation. But do they help? Yeah, some people they do. Some people they don't notice anything, maybe because they don't take enough or they just don't need them. Yeah, worthwhile dose, like I said, with as many bacteria as you have present already. Is something under 1 billion CFU or culture forming units really going to do anything? Probably not. Depends on potency of the product too. Like a lot of them, they just lose potency on the shelf. They just don't have a good shelf stability. So they just, even though they say 50 billion on the bottle, they don't really have that, or they don't have any. More potent products, you'll notice a smaller dose, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5, something like that. You may notice it. Determining what strands, again, there are certain strands that might have certain benefits. To the person asking this is something that we can go over later, and I have some more information for you, so I'll make sure you get that. All right, next one. Do you think food intolerance tests are accurate, or are they a waste? Helpful, or are they just trash? Some of them might be helpful. Like some of the allergy tests show you actually allergic to certain things, and there's multiple ways that they can test. But there are a lot of different food intolerance tests that you can buy online, like via saliva or hair and things like that. Full disclosure, I can't 100% say if they're completely accurate or not, but what I can say is that I've had a lot of clients do them, and I've done them myself, a couple different types, and it just doesn't seem to me that the intolerances that are noted on there actually match up with what I've experienced in real life. So that, and I notice the same thing with clients too. Like they just don't seem to match up very well. It says they're very intolerant to this, but they actually, when they eat it, they feel fine and digest it well. So is it like a mental thing that we just don't, we think we feel okay, but we really do have an intolerance, or is it just that the test is not very good? So I normally don't waste time with them or money with them anymore, just because, again, I'm not sure of the accuracy, and frankly, I would just rather use the elimination process, and you're probably going to find out what works that way for free. Takes a little bit of time, but again, it's just, I feel that's going to be more accurate and foolproof. So, yep. All right. That's it. That's it for this week. Really awesome digestive questions. Thanks, guys. And I'll get this up pretty soon.